What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 7, Chapter 7, The Reckoning. So, obviously, this is building up for the big climax up against, I believe his name in the subtitles was Moff Gideon. So, it seems like this is going to be sort of the big climactic battle that probably will set up a bit for next season. I don't think Moff Gideon's going to be gone by the end of next episode, but I could be wrong. We'll see. But clearly, that feels like what it's building up to is he's trying to get the kid. Either he'll get Grogu, and then Mando and Cara might be going after him to get Grogu back, or Mando and Cara get away with Grogu, and then he's trying to chase them down all next season. I feel like it could go either way at this point. But I mean, it's a good setup. It's definitely got me interested to see what's going to happen next. The one guy, the Imperial, that the original client, I'm kind of glad that he wasn't kind of the big main thread at the end of all of this, because I don't know, there's just something about him that I didn't find all that interesting. And I don't know if it was the performance or if it's just the character himself, but he just seemed like the type of guy that wants to be intimidating, but he really isn't that intimidating at all. And on top of that, he just seemed like a guy who was clinging on to a dying empire and still wanted to believe that the empire could succeed. Moff Gideon seems like maybe he has that same belief, but he also has a lot more firepower behind him, clearly, as we see at the end of this episode. So, yeah, I'm glad they sort of gave us a different villain that seems like he's going to be a little bit more intimidating and more powerful in the process. But overall, I mean, this episode, it's pretty good. It's solid. Kuil, obviously, we lose him in this one. And it can kind of see that at the end of all of it. I still don't know what that whole section where we see him basically reprogramming the IG unit and bringing him back to life to where now he's just serving tea instead of being a bounty hunter. I don't really know what that whole scene was about yet. I don't know if that's just supposed to make us care for him a bit more right before he dies, or if there's going to be something more to that backstory that maybe we'll play in a bit later. Maybe we'll see the IG unit in this next episode and we'll see that backstory come to fruition somehow. But I don't know. I can clearly see they're setting up this clear hatred that Mando has for droids in any shape or form. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe he'll learn to respect droids a bit more. I don't know. It just seemed like a very random side story, and it went on for a little while. So I feel like it's going to be important. It has to be. There's no way we spent like a full, I think it was like 5 minutes telling this story about reprogramming the IG droid just for it to not pay off, and now Kuil's dead, and we just don't even focus on the IG droid ever again. Also, the winged creatures attacking everybody when they're camping out at night, that felt very random to me. It just felt like they needed a reason for Grogu to show off his healing abilities, so that way, we see Grief Karga has a reason to turn and be like, no, never mind, I'm going to help you because he saved my life because I was poisoned, I was going to die. That's really the only thing that I saw, but I don't know. I feel like that's very random and very based on chance. I don't know. I don't understand why they felt like that was the route to take for it. Does it seem like Mando and Cara were ready for them to turn on them? I don't know what the writers intended for her line to mean to Mando, where she was like, do you think they're having second thoughts? I took it as they knew that they were planning on turning on him, but then after Grogu healed him, it was giving him second thoughts about going through with the plan to betray them. That's how I took the line. I don't know if it was supposed to be like, you think they're having second thoughts about going through with this? They're going to turn on us? I always assumed they were going to turn on him. So I saw this as like okay, well now there's a reason to not turn on him because Grogu saved his life. It still felt very out of nowhere that these creatures would just come in and just attack and poison the guy, and then I feel like there are better ways that they could have gone about it. But then again, you throw in these chance moments into all of this stuff going on, and it makes it feel a little bit more like real life, I suppose. But yeah, those are really my only two complaints, though, were just the random side story with the IG unit and the random creatures attacking. Everything else, it was very well handled. I feel like they're doing a great job getting me ready and getting me excited to see not only this finale, but also what they're building up for season 2 as well. It feels like it's got a lot of potential, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So on to the finale for this season. I'll see you there. And finally, Chapter 8, Redemption. So, very good ending to the season, and definitely has me excited to see more, because, first of all, just everything to do with Gideon, I think, is a great setup for what seems to be, I'm assuming, is going to be kind of the main villain for next season, and maybe for the whole series. It's hard to really tell. But definitely somebody who knows a lot about our little cast of characters that we have currently, and clearly somebody who's very good at his job, knows what he's doing. That being said, I will say it does sort of feel like he's maybe a little too cliche villain-ish. Because there were some moments, honestly, there were a few moments throughout this episode that felt like things were sort of just happening for not really any reason. Like, for instance, they set up this thing that's basically can take out anybody. I think it was called an E-Web blaster. So they set it up outside, and for no reason whatsoever, he's like, all right, you have until sundown. Why? You have a weapon that can essentially just take them out. Why wait until sundown? Why not just go? You have this whole army behind you. Why not send them in and take? Why are you letting them just stand in there and plot? Why not just do it, get it done? And then even after, the IG unit shows up, kicks some ass, but then everything sort of goes to shit, and they have to hide back into the bar. Even then, he's like, all right, burn them out. The flame troopers go in. One of them gets, taken out by Grogu. And then they just sit there for who knows how long. Like, what? Why aren't you going in now? Because clearly, they're nearly dead, or they're close to, like, why are you not doing anything? Why are you just standing outside waiting? So yeah, there were a few moments like that. For some reason, the Mandalorians were able to be found, and all of them except for the armorer were taken out. Why? I don't know. Because they just were. It seems very odd that she managed to survive out of all of them. I thought there was going to be some reason for that, but no. She's just still there, and everybody else was taken out by stormtroopers. Think about that for a second. By stormtroopers. And they even made fun of them in this episode. I had seen this scene before, because it was pretty popular when it first happened. The two stormtroopers on the bikes sitting out there and just shooting at the little can thing on the ground and completely missing. And then on top of that, the one dude punching Grogu. I don't know why that's funny. Maybe I'm a little sick in the head, but God, that scene's hilarious. But yeah, we have just all these Mandalorians gone except for one, just randomly, and then all these stormtroopers show up to help out and like capture them, and then she takes them all out like it's nothing. I'm like, okay, then how did anybody die in the first place if you're able to handle a group of like 6 of them, no problem? And then they get on the little lava boat and they're leaving, and there's like 10 to 12 out there. Well, there's 4 of you in there. One Mandalorian can take out 6. I think 4 of you guys could probably take on 12 of them. But no, we have to have a sacrifice. I don't know. It feels like if you're going to make these stormtroopers this easy to take down, you're going to have these moments where, oh no, there's too many of them. You thought there was too many before, and then the armorer took them all out. So why are we even worried anymore? I don't know. There are moments like that where it feels like just the ability to, I guess, write tension into a scene and showing what actually is going on, it feels like it doesn't quite match up. Like if there were 10 of the like the guys in the black stormtrooper outfits, like clearly those guys seem a little bit more skilled, like they might be a bit harder to take on. If there were 10 and 12 of those guys out there, that would be different. But I mean, it was just regular stormtroopers out there. So why are we worried to the point where the only option is for IG to go sacrifice himself? Like, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of that? Why are we acting like this is such a big deal when in reality everybody should be like, all right, yeah, it's just 10 of them. Let's just go out there and bang, bang, bang. They're going to miss all their shots and we're good. Doesn't make any sense. So there were some moments like that. However, the good stuff in this episode far outweighed the bad for me. You know, that opening scene with the two stormtroopers on the bikes, it was perfect. I mean, it was exactly what I wanted to see. I already knew some of it because I had seen some of it before, but seeing like this whole scene play out and then the IG unit shows up to help Grogu and save him, it was just perfect. Perfectly set up. And honestly, it was one of those things where when he first showed up and he had that moment and then he shows up in the bar, it helps out there, and then he's the one that helps Mando and saves his life by, taking off his helmet and spraying the spray on him. All these moments, I'm thinking, well, if it's great to see him more. It's great to see him in action because he's awesome when he's in action. Problem is a lot of these scenes feel like death flags to me. So whenever they were in the tunnel and they were talking about like, oh, the stormtroopers outside, and he's like, well, my programming, I'm able to self-destruct. I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, okay, yep, those were death flags indeed. Cool. So all those awesome scenes, no more of them. So I was a little disappointed in that respect, but those scenes were still so good. So many of them. I don't know, they're just very, very well handled and showed the potential like humor in having an emotionless droid as a part of the team. And I feel like we've seen that before, that sort of robotic delivery, but trying to still, I guess, communicate with humans by sounding more human. Like the whole, yes, your central processing unit has been damaged. You mean my brain? That was an attempt at humor to alleviate the situation. It was great, and there were some really funny lines from him. So, yeah, I really liked the IG unit, and it really made me. It did upset me a little bit that he was gone because we had so many good scenes from him. So I think they did a good job in building him up as like a fun character to have around. Just so when they took him away, we would feel that impact a lot more. And then on top of that, just building up for the next season, finding out about them finding out about the Jedi, which I am surprised that there are still people that don't know who the Jedi are. I mean, I know obviously the universe is a vast place, so there might be some planets well out of the way that maybe didn't hear about the Jedi Knights and the Sith and all of that stuff that preceded the Empire. It still feels very, especially for a Mandalorian. He grew up on Mandalore. How did he not hear stories of the Jedi? Because the Jedi and Mandalorians were at odds at one point. And then obviously there were some that worked with the Jedi whenever the Empire took over and all of that. You would think that he would have heard stories at some point. So the fact that he hadn't heard anything about the Jedi or the Force, very unlikely in my opinion. But it kind of just sets up for he doesn't realize how special this kid is. He just knows he wants to protect it. So I don't know. I guess it does build for, or does create the opportunity for some, I guess, character growth next season when he finds out more about what the Jedi are. But yeah, getting more of Mando's backstory, finding out his true name, Din Djarin, I think, in this episode, it was interesting. Seeing the full. We've seen bits and pieces of the scene of what happened with his family, but seeing the full scene and seeing how the Mandalorian showed up. And I am curious to find out if there was a reason why this Mandalorian saw him and was like, yeah, I'm going to help this kid. Maybe that's just part of their creed, to help kids who are in danger. And, obviously he became a foundling and now Grogu is technically a foundling. So maybe that's part of their creed is to help kids that are in danger, possibly. but yeah, it's a lot of good setup for the next season. Kara and Grief are going to be on Navarro still, so I'm sure at some point Mando will come back to them, and we'll see him hanging out with them at some point and help. Maybe they'll help him on some journeys as well. But knowing that he's basically trying to take Grogu to find the Jedi, and then we've of course got Gideon, who's still going to be trying to track them down. I assume we'll also find out a bit more about why Gideon wants Grogu so bad, and what they were trying to do. Like if there's something to do with these experiments that they were doing on him. Maybe it has something to do with just the idea that the Empire is trying to return and kind of becomes the First Order in the future movies. I don't know if that's kind of what it's building up to, is how they managed to stay afloat, even though a lot of their assets were taken away. But I figure that will be another big storyline for next season, is why Gideon wants Grogu so bad. And of course, he has the dark saber, which is a huge Mandalorian thing, like in their mythos that I've heard about multiple times. So yeah, it's got me excited. I can't wait to see more for next season, and I'm gonna be jumping right into it. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these final two episodes and on this first season as a whole? Let me know. We could talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, future Mandalorian, and I will see you guys at the next season. Peace out.